Where's he going to water his grass is the question about Aaron Rodgers. Look, there are three ways this can go.
Yeah.
He can retire.
No.
Which would leave a lot of money, right? Every player I have up here says
Bart won't let him retire.
$58 million. He's got a lot of reasons.
We need him too much.
So then the next one is he comes back and plays in Green Bay and everything is generally normal, or he decides or they decide mutually that it is best for them to part ways and we start figuring out where else he can go. That is a possibility. If that is the case, how do you see that playing out? Obviously, a lot of people have their eyes on your old team and my favorite.
Well, I just think that it's time to move on, right? They have to do a hard reset as well because listen, their core is getting older. He's already said he wants Bakhtiari to get paid. He wants Tanya to get paid. You can't be the highest paid player and be the general manager at the same time. So listen, it's time to take your services where your mentor, your former leader went. Go with Brett Favre went. Come on to the New York Jets. And listen, I know it sounds, Bart's being a homer, but it's the perfect situation. And for the Jets, it makes a lot of sense because it's the only scenario in which they can save Zach Wilson. Allow Zach Wilson to sit on the bench for the next 2 years and learn. And when he gets his fifth-year option, you can make a determining factor if Zach Wilson has closed the gap. But you can give Aaron Rodgers everything he wants. You can sign back the area if you're Joe Douglas. You can also bring Tanya. You need a blocking tight end. You can bring him over as well.
What you just saw was the New York Post making that case, and I will just say this quickly. Whether or not it saves Zach Wilson is the least of my concerns. The Jets are in that window you're talking about. They have a ton of
cheap talent.
They have all this cheap talent. They can afford a $58 million star quarterback. Does it make sense, Ninko?
Yeah, I think it makes sense. And then also, too, if you're Aaron Rodgers, you have to start thinking about, sure, yeah, my legacy is pretty much cemented. But how do you become legendary? That would be to go somewhere else and win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine?
It's like taking a Cubs to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Could you imagine if Aaron Rodgers came to New York and won a Super Bowl for the Jets? Like, could you imagine? You would forever be indebted to Aaron Rodgers. You can invite him over any time of the week. Come on over. I got a meal for you.
He can have my home. He can live in my house if he wants to.
You're moving the pod.
Joe Namath remains one of the most famous people in football history for winning a Super Bowl with the New York Jets. Now, there were extenuating circumstances around that game. You made the point about Favre coming once upon a time. And look, Dan, I made this point yesterday, that the people say, oh, to see Rodgers in a different uniform would be so jarring. The reality is, if he finishes his career and only plays for one team, he'd be the exception, not the rule. Joe Montana, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, all these guys. The very, very few of the Johnny Unitas played on multiple teams. Very few of the all-time great quarterbacks only played their careers in one spot.
What's interesting to me is he always said he wanted to do that. And he gained control over that situation with what happened the last couple of years, winning MVPs and getting this new contract. So if he wants to finish his career in Green Bay, as he has always said he did, he can do that.
Right.
But
the way he's talking.
But they may not want him to finish his career. It may be best for them to cash in. And listen, Joe Douglas has been a part of this. I was a part of this same exact scenario in Baltimore. We got Steve McNair June 2nd, and we were a team that had a great defense. We drafted Kyle Bowler. He wasn't the answer. So we decided that we had to move on and give this core of players we had before they got paid an opportunity to win a Super Bowl. And we only went 13-3 and was the #1 team in the AFC. Unfortunately, we lost to Peyton Manning after the
What do we know about what the Packers want? And when will we know? How will this thing play out? Give me the roadmap.
They want to know what he wants. And once they know what he wants, then they'll proceed accordingly. And they have said publicly that this is up to him. They would like to have him back. So it's up to him to decide what.
Well, and so there you have this thing, because they're saying they want to know what he wants. He's saying, I want to know what you're going to do before I decide what I want.
This is third off season in a row we've been through this, where each side wants to make sure that everybody knows, oh, it's not us, it's the other. So yes, it'll work itself out. But the key thing that has to happen is he has to decide what he wants to do. Everything else works off of that.
I ask for so little.
Go to the TP.
I have so little. I ask for so little. Give me Aaron Rodgers. Just what, please. Again, I've had so little in my life as a fan. This is what I want to have happen. We'll see if they can do it. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.